Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. In the next couple of months, I am expecting that Owlcat is going to announce new DLC for Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader. You all already know it's one of my favorite games all time. I'm really excited about it, and I decided, you know what? I should probably go ahead and do a full playthrough now so I can go ahead and provide you with guides and some builds beforehand so you'll be much more prepared when the DLC finally comes out. And due to that, I decided to finally finish an Iconoclast run of the game. To be honest with you, I have been putting it off because I didn't like a lot of the things I heard about doing an Iconoclast run, and I felt like it would be very inferior to what I had experienced with the Heretic and Dogmatic runs. So because of that, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do one, but I decided to go ahead and give it a whirl. And there's actually a lot of cool aspects to it. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a video about it and let you all know my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments if there's any other content regarding Rogue Trader you want to see. Again, I plan to do a bunch of different videos leading up to hopefully the announcement and release of new DLC sometime in the spring. And keep it locked in here at Slandered Gaming if you want more of that type of content. Make sure you subscribe down below. So first and foremost, let me say the game is so much better than what it used to be. This is the first full playthrough I've done of the game since we did a live stream Heretic run on the channel, and it's gotten a ton of patches. A lot of bugs have been cleaned up, and it's just a much superior experience. I was able to reach both max disposition, so I maxed out my Iconoclast ranking, and I got the max rep for four of the vendors that you can use. And so that was really cool because in both of my previous runs, I was not able to accomplish either task, even though I had basically done 100% runs of the game. The way disposition and vendor rep points were handed out was so choppy that it was really difficult and painful to achieve those tasks. That's definitely no longer the case. And it does a lot to make the experience more enjoyable, along with obviously it being much smoother as well. Another aspect of the game that I really enjoyed that's not directly related to it being an Iconoclast run is that I did decide to do a melee Pyromancer build, and man, does that absolutely slap. It takes a while for it to come around because unfortunately you have to start out with a lot of setup. So it's really important you get to the point that you just automatically give that character extra turns. But once you get to the point where you're very consistently getting heroic acts, and so Kasia or whoever your officer is can go ahead and give that character turns back to back, they will just absolutely demolish everyone who they come up against. And combining that build with Executioner is so much freaking fun. I had way more fun with it than I thought I would. I actually combined it with Argenta using a heavy flamer weapon, and so she was focusing a lot on demolitions and that new flame related demolition skill that they added. Absolute blast. They go together extremely well. Really enjoyed that experience all the way around. So now moving into some things that are specifically about doing a run as Iconoclast, one of the main things I really enjoyed about this game is that I had access to all of the party members, which from a role-playing standpoint really doesn't make sense if you're playing as a Heretic or Dogmatic. In my Dogmatic and Heretic run, I ended up killing Marazai, Erliet, and Ulfar. So the in-game versions of all their quests were completely new to me this run, and it was a lot of fun being able to play them. And this was actually the first time I had done a full game with Cabela as well. Even though I played through all the DLC, Owlcat had basically set it up where they gave you a save and you could go to the different acts of the game where the DLC quest would trigger and play through it that way so that you could go ahead and get your review out. So this is the first time from beginning to end I had a new playthrough and could see really all of Cabela's content. Amazing. So freaking cool. And some of her banter with the different companions was really awesome as well. Again, it doesn't make sense for you to have a full squad of party members on a dogmatic or heretic run, and so it's definitely one of the advantages of playing as Iconoclast. Another big advantage of the Iconoclast run is that Warhammer is such a dark and grim world, and so playing as a character who's pretty much the good guy and just about a goody two-shoes trying to, unite everybody and get everybody to work together in this world where everybody is desperate not to work together is really, really interesting. I do feel like from a role-playing aspect, it could have been better. You don't really get a party member that leans hard into Iconoclast. Abelard is the closest you can get to it. And even with him, while he cares a lot about the people under his command and cares a lot about humans, he is still very much so hardline against Xenos and does not approve of you working with them or helping them at all. And so if you decide to play as a person who is hardcore about, no, I want as much peace as possible and I want everybody to be connected and live peacefully, there's no party member that really, really rocks with you on that. Whereas if you play as a dogmatic character, it's definitely very easy. Most of your party members are gonna slide into that playthrough like a glove. Heretic obviously has similar issues, and I do feel like the issues on this subject with Iconoclast are a little bit better than they are with Heretic, because from a role-playing standpoint, it really doesn't make sense that some of your other party members don't turn against you much earlier. But if they do another Warhammer game, which I can't imagine, Owlcat is not planning to do that considering how well Rogue Trader did for them, I would definitely like to see party members that more closely align with you in certain dispositions. Another thing I really like about Iconoclast is that if you get to a high rank in the disposition, one of the abilities that it provides is for you to allow one of your party members to immediately do a heroic act, which is freaking insane late game. Like, in the late game stages, I actually found an item that would automatically make my character go first every single game. And so I would just let him go first and let him trigger all of the buffs that he needed, and then give Cassia her heroic act. She would place her heroic act on me. I would light up a bunch of enemies until the point that I could use my heroic act. Then I started my heroic act, lighted up a whole bunch of other enemies, and then of course I had Cassia set up so that she would be the second person to act during a fight, and then she immediately gives me an extra turn. There are very, very, very few groups of enemies that could withstand that beginning, and it was so awesome to play around with. I mean, having Argenta on the squad and never using her felt felt so forward. I was so used to her being the rock star pretty much every single time that me myself being the one who really, really wiped out squads was just amazing, was just absolutely awesome. So to be honest with you, from a mechanic standpoint, you can kind of make the case that Dogmatic might be close, because you do get that helmet that increases your psi rating based on how high your Dogmatic skill is. And I think there are a couple of other items that most especially wrap in nicely with fire, but Iconoclast is pretty freaking awesome. And if you're not a psyker or not making great use of fire, I think there's no question being able to immediately give one of your party members a heroic act is probably, from a mechanic standpoint, the strongest ability you can get from your dispositions. But all that being said, I do still kind of feel like Iconoclast is the weakest run of the game. And there are a couple of different reasons for that. I've already mentioned it would be nice if the party members a little more closely aligned with how the disposition is set up. Again, not all of them, but the Iconoclast party members that you get, again, Abelard, still strongly against Zeno, still strongly against many of the things that you would probably end up doing in this run. And Jay, your other Iconoclast party member, to me, she doesn't really love people. She's not about saving people or protecting people or about standing up for peace. She's just a businesswoman. Like, she's comfortable with the Xenos because she's comfortable selling their weapons and armor. You know, that's not really the same as what you're going to be trying to accomplish standing in that Iconoclast path. And so there's nobody who really aligns with you. Whereas again, if you're hardcore dogmatic, you pretty much can create a whole squad of people that adore you and feel like, man, you stand for everything that I love and believe in. And it'd be nice if the other dispositions could do the same thing. I also personally feel like the gear for Iconoclast is weaker than both Heretic and Dogmatic. I already mentioned Dogmatic is amazing if you're focusing on fire, if you're most especially a psyker, and even outside of that, there's some really, really nice options to help flesh you out. Heretic also has some amazing pieces. Once again, if you're a psyker, it's really cool, but in a different sort of way. It rewards you the more and more you're hitting that ranking. I forgot what it is, but basically it causes crazy things to happen when you use your psychic powers. If you decide that, hey, I'll just let that build as high as it can go, and sometimes I'll summon demons, but whatever, the void warps of the void, whatever it's called, there are definitely some nice Heretic related pieces that will tie into that and make you even more powerful. Whereas for when it came to Iconoclast, most of the time I was just throwing it in the vault, like, hey, maybe I'll do a build that revolves around this one day, or, you know, maybe I'll try to figure out how to make something out of this. But it was nothing that I felt like me or frankly any of my party members would really, really want to take advantage of. And the last reason that I feel like Iconoclast is still the weakest option out of the whole list is the ending. I definitely feel like it's the least satisfying ending you can get out of all of the disposition options. I don't want to provide any spoilers, but essentially, if you're playing as a good guy, you probably expect an ending where everybody comes together and it's peaceful and kumbaya and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, that does not fit in Warhammer. That does not work in Warhammer. And, you know, if you're familiar with the Warhammer universe, you're not expecting that at all. Still, I feel like in several points, the ending is kind of a gut check, and maybe even a little bit more than it needed to be, but it's still very, very consistent with the Warhammer universe. I just feel like, you know, if you're doing that Iconoclast run, you're probably not going to be all that satisfied with how it ends. But again, maybe you will if you know how Warhammer is when it all comes down to it. But regardless, the worst run in Rogue Trader is still significantly better than a lot of runs that you can have in video games. It's just an absolutely amazing game, incredible mechanics, very well written, ton of fun to go through. One of my all-time favorite isometric CRPGs, and you all already know I cannot wait for more content to come out about this game. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Definitely looking forward to hearing you all's perspective. Let me know down in the comments if you played it or you're looking forward to it. What are your thoughts regarding an Iconoclast run in Rogue Trader? And again, if there's any particular content you want to see from me regarding the game, let me know. I'll be happy to see if I can come up with it. Hopefully, we will get an announcement regarding the new DLC very, very soon. Anyway, that's my video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.